Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another video training session. Today, what we're going to try to demonstrate is how you can create a new floor plan. So if you already have some floor plans and you want to create a whole separate floor plan for maybe a new section, how you go about doing that, as well as how you can modify your buttons on your function panel to be able to do what's called a chain to different floor plans. So the servers or bartenders can jump between different floor plans using the buttons located on their function panel. So we're just going to get logged into Aloha Manager. All right. So how we get to our floor plan is through Maintenance, Screen Designer, Table Service Screen Designer. And we're going to do a Work with Panels. And then we're going to right click and go Open Panel. And then you can go ahead and find one that you're currently already using. So in this instance, we'll pick Dining Room. Hit OK. So here's our completed dining room one that we already have. Now, what we can do is instead of creating a brand new panel and having to worry about resizing it and stuff like that, you could simply copy a panel that has already been made into a new one. So we can right click on here and we can hit duplicate panel. You're not going to see anything, but you're going to notice that right away up in the top right hand corner here over on our property screen, it's going to say the number 6, which is probably just the number of the panel. It's going to say copy of dining room. So you can see down here too the name copy of dining room. So we know that we're now working on a duplicate of what we just created from the dining room. So what we can do is now we can go ahead and we can give this a new name. So I'll just come into the name here and let's call it, in this particular instance, let's call it maybe outdoor patio. Okay, and we'll give it the same description, outdoor patio. And then we'll go ahead and we'll just hit File. Oh, sorry, not File. Where's it at here? Right click on an empty space and hit Save Panel. And now if we go ahead and we click File and close, you don't have to hit Close Panel Editor, I guess. You could just right click again anywhere's in here and go Close Panel. You're going to see here, as soon as I close that panel, it's going to show me the panel that I duplicated because it was kind of in the background of the one that opened up when we created a duplicate of it. So you can see this is number 4, dining room. So I'm going to close this one too. So I'm just going to right click on this and close panel. So now if we go to, if we right click here and we go to open panel again, you can see here we now have one called 6, outdoor patio. So I basically went ahead and I just copied the dining room into a new one called outdoor patio. So now I can go to my outdoor patio one and I can do my edit functions on here, create new tables and kind of go from there without having to actually, create a whole new panel and make it the right size and ensure that it doesn't overlap, or if you have something, a background image, it's already there. So it saves a lot of time doing that. And what you can do here too is that if we take a look over at our properties here, if we take off mark as template, fix button layout, we set all these to false here. So now it's going to allow us to edit and move around these things. What you could do is if you hold down your shift key on your keyboard and then you kind of click and drag, and it will highlight everything on that floor plan, and then you just go ahead and hit your delete button. It's going to delete every single one of those off of your new floor plan you created. So then you could start inputting your new floor plans. So you can right click here and you can go new table, new walls, and start designing your new floor plan. And then you want to go back when you're finished and just make sure you set it to mark as template, set that back to true, and then go ahead and hit right click anywhere on an open area and save the panel and then close it. So that's how you basically would create a whole new panel and then add your tables and stuff to it. So I'll just go ahead and I'll add in a table here just so we can have one on the screen. So we got our table. We're going to pick our table number from here. We'll just pick table number 3. And I'll just go here, right click, save panel. So now I got one table on here. So you can see here when I open up my panel, I got this white section over here on the right hand side. Depending on how your floor plan was designed, you might have a white section down at the bottom or a white section up at the top. That's areas reserved for the functions panel that's located on your floor plan design. So to kind of see that and work on that as well, we can right click anywhere in this open white area and go open panel. There's going to be one called functions. Some of you may have a couple different function ones depending on your design and functionality. But for this instance, we'll just open up the one called functions and hit OK. So now you're going to see here, this is the buttons that show up on the right-hand side of the screen, which allow the servers to be able to do stuff and move between different floor plans. So you can see here, for instance, they have one called dining room. So if I click on this dining room button and I go over to our properties and I just move down here, it's going to say function, and it's going to tell you the action that this button is. This button is doing what's called a chain action. And the panels to display is dining room. So what you could do is when you have this set to chain, and you click here on these little dots here, it's then going to bring up all of your panels that you have available in your system, and then the panels that you've selected. So for instance, if I now wanted, let's say, I'll cancel this. I'll change this deck to, instead of going to the deck, I'm going to make it go to the outdoor patio that we created. So if I click on deck, I go over to my properties. You can see here it's a chain. It's set to go to the deck. Well, we want it to go to the patio. So we're going to click on these dots. I'm going to highlight the selected panel that it's currently using. And I'm going to move him out so he goes away from the selected panels and back over to available. I'm going to select our outdoor patio, and I'm going to move him over to the selected patio. So you can see here, there's our outdoor patio that we just created. And now I'm going to hit OK. So now we can see here it's a chain. It's going to the outdoor patio. But don't forget, the name of the button here is still deck. So we're going to want to change that just so it makes sense. So we're going to remove this text, and we're just going to type in patio. And if you just click anywheres or you press enter, you'll see here that it will change the name on the screen to what you just set it to as patio. So that's how you can do that. Sometimes what will happen is you'll be adding on another floor plan, but there won't be any room or there's not an existing button that you can edit to kind of change what you want it to be. So if that's the case, you're gonna have to make buttons smaller so you can fit them on your function panel. So for instance, let's say, I made this one the patio, but I want my deck to still be there as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click into this function panel, and over on our properties here, you want to make sure this mark as template is set to false. So this will allow us to be able to move these buttons. So now I'm going to click on my patio here. I should be able to resize it. If I can't, no. Let me go back over to properties here. Where's that here? Oh, I got to click back on the functions panel itself. And there's probably a couple that I need to do. So fix button layout, I need to turn this off as well. So you can see here, locks position and size of all buttons on the panel. Well, we don't want them to be locked because we want to be able to move them right now. So we're going to set this to false as well. So now I can go back to my button. Now you can see I got the kind of the resizing squares here around the picture. So now what I can do is I can actually go down to the bottom here and I can kind of shrink this button. Okay, so I'll make it smaller. So now we got patio, but you can see the text isn't kind of fitting on that. So you can see here our custom font, and we have it set to 20 points. So we should be able to make this smaller. Yeah, you don't quite need it that small, but we can make it, let's see, 14. Yeah, there we go. So we made it 14. So you can make your size different on your button. So now I can just take this button, for instance, because it's a chain. It's exactly what we want it to be. So we can actually just right click on this and we can copy it. Oh, just 1 second. And then what we can do is we can just go ahead and then hit paste. So it makes an identical copy, and we'll just move that up beside our other one there. So let's see, we're gonna want to make sure they're not overlapping, or else it won't let you save it. So now I made an exact copy of that, but I'm gonna change this to say deck. Okay. You can change the color if you want here too with a custom background color. So we can make a different color here. And we'll go down to the bottom here and we'll change it from saying a chain outdoor patio. We're going to change this to be deck. Click OK. So now we actually have our two buttons. We have one for the patio, which will link to the new one that we just created by copying the dining room. And then we have another button that we created for the deck. We chain that to go to the deck. So, oh, no, we didn't actually. Look. So I made the deck. It's still chained, but you can see here it says outdoor patio. So we're going to want to make sure we change this. Because right now it will take us to, these two buttons would do the exact same thing. They would both take you to the patio. So we want to get rid of the outdoor patio. And we want to put the deck back in for this button. We'll go ahead and hit OK. So now here you can see this one's going to the chain and then to the deck. If we click on patio, we look at the properties, it's going to be chain and outdoor patio. And then what we want to do is click back on the functions panel itself. And we're going to go back to mark this as a template. Now we're going to right click in the functions panel. We're going to hit save. I'm going to right click again. We're going to close the panel. And we can close this other panel as well here because we're all finished. So that's basically a good instructional video on how you can basically duplicate an existing panel that you already have and then be able to delete all the buttons off it, then recreate your new tables that you want on that particular floor plan, and then how you can then work on a functions panel and you can go ahead and you can create a new button for a chain, or you could take an existing button if you're removing a floor plan but adding an entirely new different one. You could just edit an existing button, or you could make a button smaller and then copy that button and edit the properties of it to chain to a different floor plan. So then you can have two separate buttons that go two different spots. So that's basically a little bit more of for training on the panel editor and floor plans with the Aloha POS. Thank you.